Well, this is the conclusion of the 5-liter Mustang turbocharged head gasket fail. Got a lot of parts laying around here. A lot of good parts in this engine. It's got some nice roller rockers. Still the stock push rods, but that's not terrible. Yeah, a really nice radiator hose. I thought that was pretty cool. Decent turbo kit. Kind of funny wastegate placement. Not a huge fan of the dump tube. Kind of like to route it back into the main pipe there, but to each his to own. The heads are in good shape. They're nice and flat. They were just machined. Nothing wrong with those. Those can be reused again. Looks like still the stock valve springs, new seals. The donor engine also had good heads. There's nothing really wrong with that. It just had a worn out crank, and all the bearings were down to the copper. You can feel that. That needs to be turned down, probably 10 under. Still a lot of good parts. You can see all the rod bearings, just copper. So it probably had an oil contamination issue or something going on, but it was nice and cheap. And the block is within spec. It's not perfectly flat, but it's not bad. It's something that could still be built. And same thing, the bores aren't terrible. I ran a hone through it, and you can see there's a little shadow at the top there, but no lip or nothing. You know, that would probably run just fine. So I steam cleaned this. I opened up all the oil galleys and got everything all blasted out and cleaned out. Put new frost plugs in it, and got it all ready to start accepting the rotating assembly out of the old engine, one that was in the car. And yeah, I found some really bad stuff when I started taking it apart. So the main bearings they're okay here, okay, bad. And that's at the front of the block. I'm not sure why it would toast this front bearing and not the other ones. Maybe the crank's bent, or maybe the alternator belt was tightened up too much. Something, I don't know. There's some force at work that caused that front bearing to fail. This block has a really bad deck surface. It's well beyond the 4 thou limit. I don't want to see any feeler gauge fit underneath the straight edge. It should be perfectly flat. So that's the old engine. Crank looks like it's in pretty good shape, but the big problem I ran into here is every single piston has broken rings. All of the rings are shattered and broken, and a couple of the pistons have some pretty bad damage where they can't even be used again. So like all the top rings are shattered. So this being a turbo car with a Holley ECU, it's got a custom tune on it. I don't know if it was running 2-step. What would break these rings all to pieces like this? I can't believe it was running. It must have been making compression on the second ring, but that explains a lot of the smoking going on. Yeah, you can see that ring land's all messed up. These pistons are no good anymore. So that's the end of that rotating assembly. And I'm not just going to slap the other pistons out of the other engine onto that crank, because it wouldn't be balanced. And you know, this car really needs a nice engine built. Like I'd want to put forged pistons into it, at least. You know, probably some nicer rods, and gap the rings properly. I don't think that was done. It doesn't look like it was apart. yeah, just, spent a lot of money in some areas and cheaped out in the other really important areas, which is, yeah, your short block, especially for a forced induction application. A lot of junk in the oil pan. There's kind of some sludgy stuff going on in there, like putting. That's probably a lot of the coolant mixed with oil. Wasn't really anything in the pickup tube or on the screen there, but pretty bad. Pretty sad. I spent a lot of time, prepping this block to get it all ready, and that's pretty much pumped the brakes on the project right there. I put the cam in and got all the lifters in. I was all excited to start transferring over the crank and the pistons, and then I found that, and that was the end of my day. So sometimes she goes, sometimes she don't. Still a lot of good parts here. I think he's gonna just sell the car as is, or part. It needs a new flywheel. Way over this guy's budget, so it happens. Just don't be too sad. It's not the end of the world. It could be worse. The car could have caught on fire and burned down. So yeah, I'm going to return all these gaskets and stuff tomorrow and move on to the next project. Foxbody.